Welcome back to the Ambition Over Fear portal. I'm Atlas Opia, and I help people expand their interdimensional knowledge. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing why you are exactly where you need to be, even when your mind feels like you should be over the period you're in, or you need to do something to counter the emotions you're going through. The release comes from letting go and realizing it's all part of a larger sequence of events. If you're back on this channel, or if you're new here, definitely consider subscribing if you enjoy breaking down interdimensional knowledge in a way your mind can integrate, so the power of your soul can be shown through your actions and the way you interact with the world. So to jump right into it, we've all heard this motto, right? Which is, you're exactly where you need to be. We're supposed to trust and let go and believe that the universe has our backs and that our higher self is guiding us through every circumstance we need to get to where we're going. But even though we know on some level this is true, there can be resistance. And I want to go into why that is. Resistance can come from the mind trying to assert itself ahead of the soul. You know, as we're formless souls taking form in a third dimensional matrix, our mind helps create a connection between the consciousness of our soul and the mechanics of Earth and how this dimension works. But at some point we realize that the mind is a static program that picks up on information from our past and projects it into our future. We begin to realize that the programming of the mind creates subtle hints on how we perceive things, and it happens without us even knowing it sometimes. So how do we move from that place of the mind trying to take control when we know that the soul is supposed to lead in this given moment? Because a mind is great when you apply it to specific tasks. When you're looking at how to achieve something in the world, how are you supposed to drive a car? How are you supposed to build a business? How do you build, a bed or a piece of furniture when you have a set of instructions? The mind is great when you use it for a specific task. And even though we consider our higher dimensional self and the lead that our soul has to channel information, the mind will help create language around that download. But besides that, the mind is programmed based on the original human being that came here from the start of Earth. And that is the prehistoric times when we were supposed to be focusing mainly on physical survival so the actual race could reproduce way back when. So our mind is there to make things easier for us, so our focus can be on physical survival. That's why we have still in our DNA the sensation of chase pleasure, avoid pain, because back then that is how the cavemen and cavewomen were able to actually know the actions they needed to go towards that could lead towards their survival and reproduction, such as, being able to avoid certain animals or plants because it brought them pain, going towards certain actions based on pleasure, and that would lead the human beings towards a further state of evolution. But now we're moving beyond just physical survival, so the functionality of the mind must be looked at in a way with curiosity instead of judgment. Every time you embody a certain theme in your life, that is a timeline. Timeline is a pattern of energy that continues to reproduce, where you are experiencing a common energy and similar interactions with your body and the world around you. Because energy will cycle in on itself. So a timeline is one point of knowledge that expands upon itself and creates in that similar fashion. So when you've embodied different versions of yourself, you'll be faced with those versions of yourself as you're trying to grow, as you're trying to let go and trust the direction your soul wants to take you in. And what will end up happening is those different versions of ourselves will create an idea of how we associate with particular areas of life. So how do we move from, I don't think I'm in the right place in my life and something is wrong, to I'm going to trust that everything is going exactly how it needs to, and this is going to lead to where I should be going, but I might not know how the puzzle pieces fit together, but I trust that they're going to lay out before themselves. Is you have a conversation with your mind and you say, do you remember the times when you, the mind, did not know what was going to happen next? You were going through disempowering thoughts and emotions and feeling down on yourself, and that ultimately was a period that led to something great that we did not even anticipate. And then you have a conversation with your mind as if it's sitting right across from you, and you bring up different times where amazing things happened when you were not aware that they were coming. You weren't really in control of the direction that you needed to take in order to get there. And when you start doing that, you let the guards down in your mind. Your mind becomes more flexible because now it's starting to analyze itself and go, oh, well, there are times when the unknown led to something great. And the mind will slowly let go of its clamps onto you. Another thing is reassociating your connection to the void. The void is the mind perceiving you going outside of it into a place of emptiness. But that's only because we're looking at letting go from the position of the identity in the mind, which is a closed container of information, patterns of thoughts and beliefs about yourself and the world. So when you go outside of this container, the mind thinks you're moving beyond its threshold. So it views the void as this emptiness and this scary place. But in reality, from the soul position, you're just disconnecting from any particular paradigm. You're letting go of the idea that life has to work like this needs to look this way, and I have to be this certain person. You're really removing the responsibility of the mind in that moment to guide you into the next stage, because the mind is used to the information that has been programmed into it based on the past and the versions of yourself that you have embodied. So the void to you should be a point of freedom. It's a letting go where you feel a little bit lost, but that feeling of wandering can bring you a sense of relief when you know that you don't directly have to do anything in this present moment. You don't have to fit this model of the person you're trying to become. In that particular time and place, you're becoming free of the pressures that you've placed on yourself in this human experience. And you're just experiencing and enjoying what it is to be a human. You are exactly where you need to be. Whatever you're going through has a connection to where you're going. And sometimes we can feel like the more effort we put in, the more energy we exert, the faster things will go. But if you force water, it doesn't change the flow of the river. If you have a river that's pushing everything in one direction, and you go to one side of the river and put your foot in, the water is just going to go around it. So instead of wasting your energy trying to force yourself out of where you're at now, take your time to honor the emotions you're experiencing. Take your time to feel into the memories that are coming up from the past that represent things that need more attention. Your body wants to just feel into its emotion. And sometimes in life there is a cause and effect. Something will happen that can make us angry. Something will happen that can make us sad or depressed. And when we deny ourselves that right of cause and effect, our body starts to accumulate resentment towards the emotion, and it makes that stored emotion amplify, and it creates blockades in our body. So sometimes you have to just let go and surrender to the realization that this moment is exactly where you need to be. Don't resist. Don't try to over control. Don't try to guilt yourself into doing more action, because I've gone through all those stages, and what I've realized is at a certain point there's a level of trust that has to come into place. Not because it's easy, but because we have no choice when we're going outside of what we knew and who we're trying to be and what we think we need to do to feel accomplished as a soul or a person in this life. Releasing ourselves allows a steady flow of acknowledgement of what is in this moment, and it moves us into a point beyond time where there is no past to gain redemption for. There is no future to try to worry about or attach to, because sometimes we give manifestations the right to decide our emotions. We say, I'll be happy or at peace when something happens. And all we're doing is giving the external world the power to always control our internal world, and that means we're a victim to things that may be happening out of our control for the best possible result that we're heading towards. So instead of just allowing yourself to be happy 10% of the time, change your association to happiness and realize that you don't need to be in a positive mood sometimes. You don't have to force yourself to be high vibe. Sometimes what you need to do is be authentic to what you're feeling and what you're going through in this moment, and see it as a sacred part of your story that has power and meaning, instead of feeling like, oh, this again. No, you have the chance in the moment to view this circumstance and this period, if it is cyclical, with acceptance, so that way this trajectory and timeline that you've embodied in the past can be healed and let go of. But if you don't accept that part of you, then it will keep circling in and around. Well, thank you guys for being here. I make videos every Tuesday and Thursday. Definitely subscribe and check out the rest of my content. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And if you're a powerful starseed that feels lost, you feel a sense of wandering through the world, and you know there's something you should do or learn, but you're not exactly aware of what that means, sign up for my galactic quantum coaching, because I realize that there is a gap in the collective for souls that are very advanced, that need a new way to interact with the quantum field while on Earth. And so I've broken down interdimensional skills so you as a starseed can transmute energy on Earth and in the higher dimensions while you're in this human body, and you can return to your power and not feel as if you have to be victim to what is consistently being pushed into your field, and you can understand how to perform tasks in the quantum field to alter Earth and improve the state of energy here. And when you have tasks from your starseed reincarnation that are calling your attention, I can show you from this body how to carry that through and merge both timelines. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Hopefully you have an amazing day. Bye.